Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And today, I unfortunately don't have the time to do a live stream, but we have a very juicy amount of crypto news, mostly regarding FTX. So take a good look and take it all in, because this is crazy. Now, we all know that Sam Bankman-Fried's interviews over the last couple of weeks have been either insincere or very strange. I think we all know that, and make sure you press that like button if you're enjoying the Daily Crypto News. Now, he apparently said that he will likely testify before the US Congress potentially as early as next week. FTX founder says he will testify when he has finished learning and reviewing collapse of cryptocurrency exchange. And when taking a look at a couple of other articles, I've actually found out that it might already be as early as the 13th. However, this might just be some hypey article. It is TechCrunch, so it is okay, credible, but again, take all this with a grain of salt. Again, the whole situation is as follows. The U.S. House Financial Services Committee announced last month that it plans to hold a hearing in December to investigate the collapse of FTX, which before the implosion was one of the world's largest. The committee said it expected to hear from the companies and individuals involved, including FTX founder Sam Bankman-Fried, Alameda Research, and Binance. Waters said earlier this month that the hearing has been scheduled for December 13th, and the U.S. authorities' lethargic pace as it probe into FTX and its leaders has frustrated many entrepreneurs and crypto investors who believe that Bankman-Fried, who has been alleged to have misappropriated, which again I think he confirms as well, billions of dollars from customers, is getting away with one of the largest frauds in history with little to no scrutiny. And again, if any of you are still wondering why exactly it is called fraud, it is because it is okay, in my opinion, to make business mistakes. I honestly am not the worst in that because, well, I've made plenty of mistakes in my life and I'll make plenty more. But the not so acceptable mistake comes when you double account funds. And again, this would be a very minor problem if this was $50. If this was $100,000, $800,000, three people's accounts, maybe worst case, $24 million. I'd be like, oh, that's crazy, but okay. But it can't be $8 billion. You can't like, oh, sorry, we messed up, we accounted it poorly. Yeah, we all of a sudden had $8 billion extra to spend. We didn't notice. I mean, the company was doing well, but not that well. If, funny enough, BlackRock, for example, were to come up and say, hey, we actually have apparently at some point, had $8 billion that actually was double. It'd be like, okay, $10 trillion assets under management. It will be the same severity as FTX doing this with a couple $1 million. I'd be like, can happen, okay? It's not that big a deal. They'll probably fix it rather quickly. But, so that's why people are like, well, you can't really get away with that because nobody believes that it was just a slight little mistake. It just slipped through. And if it did, well, that's still too much of the negligence where I still think it is chargeable to some degree. Again, these are my thoughts. It's not factual because, again, we'll see in a short amount of time if they get charged. And now regarding Alameda, that is going to speak at all these events as well. The CEO, Caroline, we've had a lot of controversy because Sam Bankman-Fried threw her in front of the bus. Apparently now she's been spotted in New York. An unverified photo purportedly shows Caroline Ellison making an order at a New York cafe, leading to the question as why she's still back on U.S. soil and how she's able to be there. It would be funny if this is actually not Caroline. I do assume so, though, because of, well, looks. But I cannot confirm. The last location that we knew was Hong Kong, and it's been said that she fled to Dubai, but we've not seen anything. Again, this could be an older picture, though, guys. I don't really know. However, the guy working at the cafe, one of these guys, Daniel Mentando, claims to also know that it was her and that one of his staff members actually helped her out. Now, that would be really interesting. Not from the perspective that, she can't be in the USA, but from the perspective that she shows up to the US either to testify in front of the Congress, right? Something like that, maybe. Or because they just are like, we're not going to go to jail anyway. We could go wherever we want. Or something along those lines. Because that's kind of what it seems like. It's kind of like, hey, you can show up anywhere. I mean, most of us thought if they went to the US, they'd be caught immediately and then go under questioning and then potentially be let free again if they didn't do anything, quote unquote, wrong. However, let us talk a little bit more about the big deal. BlackRock CEO on the FTX collapse says most crypto companies aren't going to be around. We've talked about it before. Most of the time when we talk about XRP in the near future for that, we cover that a lot of the crypto companies that you know and love right now will not be around in a couple of years, which is why we invest right now in the most proper use cases, in the most likelihood or the best likelihood of surviving over a, let's say, 5 to 7 year time frame. And that's honestly one of the reasons why I'm so excited about XRP. It has that longevity factor. It has a very high probability to make it through multiple different cycles. It's been around for the last decade or so. What makes you think it's going to all of a sudden go away? Obviously, a loss in the lawsuit would be a big blow. I don't think it would destroy XRP completely, potentially on the short term a 90% fall, but over a longer term, I still think it would survive. And that's the case for not that many different cryptos that would actually survive all the way through. And that's why you gotta always diversify, and that's why I never go fully into one project, which is why I think I might just make a video in a couple of hours, just very, very low-key, talking about a couple of altcoins that I personally think should be hoarded by people that are in the crypto space. Again, my thoughts though, not financial advice, just what I'm hoarding, I guess. But I'll share that as well in a little video. The CEO of BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, says that most crypto companies will not be around following the collapse of crypto exchange FTX. However, the executive is still optimistic about blockchain tech. And again, they invested $24 million into FTX, but they know very well, right? They have $8 trillion under management. They know very well not to put all your eggs into this blockchain basket, even though they've also said they're opening up basically the floodgates for institutional investors into crypto because they wanted that. They also know don't over expose yourself to this technology because it's rather risky in comparison to the majority of other pieces that they have control over. And again, the crypto space is going to change so much. Even Charles Hoskinson indicates that the gold standard of digital age is not ADA, it's actually algorithmic stablecoins. And what that has to do is the fact that you don't really need any single party, even though you always have a foundation, but you don't need a centralized party basically. Officially, it could be a DAO or something like that. To control this stablecoin that we all use, it can be done algorithmically. And to be honest, if you think about the future of payments, for a stablecoin that is again pegged to something to be decentralized, that is actually really quite beautiful. The only problem that I personally have with this is that it's kind of difficult what exactly it should be pegged to, right? So the concept of algorithmic stablecoins is how we get nation states off of fiat currencies. It's the gold standard of the digital age. Use a deflationary cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or ADA to collateralize a stablecoin that's used as a national currency. And potentially they will think of new, basically, baskets to make it stable to. Instead of making it stable to one exact dollar, make it stable to quote unquote something else. And that is indeed a very interesting prospect for the near future. Also, Cardano's native stablecoin apparently is going to go live next month. I'm just seeing that right there. And I wanted to end it off with this article, which got a ton of views. Will Grayscale be the next FTX? Right now, there's a lot of fear that Grayscale is going to be next. And the only thing I can tell you is we don't actually have that many details if you look at the bigger picture of things, right? I've actually seen it many other times, and that is that, well, no, but Grayscale is backed properly, Coinbase confirmed it, and it's like, well, if we could fully trust all these exchanges, we wouldn't have had the whole FTX trouble from the get-go. We wouldn't have had the trouble to begin with. So how or who exactly can we rely on? How exactly do we know and can verify that this is all good? Yeah, that is indeed very difficult. Now, the answer is that it's unlikely that Grayscale is going to be the next FTX because they're quite capable. However, that is mostly just looking at the people, because at the numbers, you can't really say, right? Maybe one of their departments is actually not functioning that well. And that leads you to kind of think that every single company you thought was solid, even the best of the best, you never really know how solid exactly that they are, but you trust the people. Sam Bankman-Fried, if you look at him, he doesn't really sound like the most convincing tech whiz kid. Well, maybe at first he did sound like one, now he especially does not. He just sounds like somebody who made it big through some miraculous method. A couple months ago, we actually covered that it's quite strange that Sam Bankman-Fried all of a sudden got that much money to fund this whole operation. Because, well, it didn't really look like he was that good at trading, didn't really look like he was that good at anything necessarily. So it was kind of spectacular that he got so much money. However, even I, as I stated before, if I got the chance to invest into FTX, I would have probably taken that deal as well because, well, the deal looked pretty good. And the same thing goes for Grayscale, even though I don't necessarily think that's one of the best investments one could make. Well, they've done pretty well and they're doing pretty well. The asset value of their Bitcoin can go down, but in theory, as long as they're not over leveraged to any degree, they should be completely fine. And that again depends on how strong they would be if Bitcoin actually saw a $4,000 price mark, a $9,000 price mark, and we cannot know that. But as long as they'd be good to go at price points like that, well, then Grayscale is, in my opinion, also here to stay. But yeah, that was it for my quick little update video on everything that I saw going around right now. Mostly regarding FTX, mostly regarding more fear. The crypto space is fearful. It just is. However, that doesn't deter me from just buying more every single day. And so if you enjoyed this video, make sure you press that like button. And I'll see you guys again in another crypto video later today.